Hey everyone, what's up? Thanks for watching. We're going to go over something that has been kind of confusing a lot of us in class, and I did a pretty big deep dive on it, and I kind of want to share what I've learned and try to explain this in a way that I think it makes sense. We've been using the SQLAlchemy, and one thing we've been getting stuck on is this back populates and this relationship thing, exactly how it works, and it's been kind of confusing. So what I want to do is show some code and try to explain it in a way that I think it makes sense. So let's jump over to the code. And here's these two lines that we've all been kind of having problems with. It's this relationship, back populates, what the heck is going on? It's kind of hard to understand. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back and we're going to pretend that these two lines don't exist. They're not yet in the code. We did not add them into the code yet. And then we're going to say we run the Python program without those two lines. Now here's what happens. So Python goes, it takes the student class and the post class and it loads them up into memory. And they're floating in the ether of memory. Well, the problem is they don't have a relationship. They don't know how to talk. They don't have a reference point or a pointer where one points to this one and that one points to that one. In fact, they don't even know each other exist. They're just up in the memory ether and by themselves, and they don't even know about each other. That's where that relationship, that's where it does come in. If we don't have that relationship, when we create instances and Python loads those up into memory, they can't talk, they don't know each other exist. So let's get back to the code here. Hope that makes sense. All right, so what's happening first, I'll try to break it down. Right here, post is an attribute. We are creating an attribute kind of like a variable. And what we're saying here is this attribute is going to have the data type of a list, kind of, sort of. And in this list, we are going to hold post objects or post instances inside of this list. So we are defining what this post attribute is going to be, what its data type is, and exactly what it's going to hold, which is going to be a list of post instances. Now right here, a relationship. We need to tell Python to point down to post because when they get loaded up in the memory, it's not going to know that the post exists. So right here, it creates a relationship. So Python sees this. It says, okay, I need to find post and I need to create a connection down to post. So it does. Now back populates says after we have that connection, I want you to look into post and find an attribute called student. So it creates the connection. It says, okay, I need to find this attribute in the post instance or post class. So it comes down into post. It looks at all the attributes and boom, it finds the student attribute. And then when it does, it finishes that connection. It locks them in. So now student knows where post is, it knows how to communicate with post, and it connects down to that student attribute. So let's say that this line, though, it doesn't exist yet. And we run this program. And I don't actually know what's going to happen. It would probably error, but let's, for hypothetical purposes and to understand better, let's say it doesn't error. And we run the Python program without this line existing. So now what happens? Python gets student, it loads it up into memory, it gets post, it loads it up into memory. Now student has a relationship down to post. It knows that post's there. It can talk to post, kinda, but post, it doesn't yet have a relationship. It doesn't point back to student. It doesn't know that student exists yet because we didn't create a relationship. We didn't create a connection. We didn't create a pointer to tell post, hey, student is over here. So let's come back to the code. So that's where this line comes in. We create an attribute called student. We are defining what this attribute is going to be. Again, it's kind of like a variable. We are telling, we are going to hold a student object inside of student. Not many, like up here on the list, just one. Now we, we, we create the relationship here. We are saying, okay, create a relationship with student. Find student and make a connection. So then it does. It goes up and it makes a connection. Back populates now. It says, okay, now that we have that connection, I want you to look through the attributes of student and look for an attribute called post. So it comes up to student, it looks through all the attributes, and bam, it finds post and it says there it is, and then it finishes that connection. It creates the connection. Now we run the program again. It puts student up into memory, it puts post up into memory. Now they both have a relationship. One points to one and the other points back. Now they know how to communicate. They know what to do. They know each other exists now. So that's what that does. These lines have nothing to do with the actual database. This is on the Python side only. So when instances get created and they go up into memory, that they can communicate back and forth to each other in memory. Because if we don't have these lines, they don't know each other exist. They're just floating in the ether of memory by themselves, and they don't know anything exists until we create the relationships back and forth. But that's kind of it. I hope that makes sense. I spent quite a long time trying to figure it out, and it finally clicked, and I said, oh, that makes perfect sense. But anyways, guys, I if you have any questions or if I got anything wrong, I know some of the stuff, it wasn't technically right, but it's more as an example. But yeah, but I think that makes sense, and it's so much fun till when something clicks and you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for me. See you back in class in a little bit. Peace.